I think we all know that engineers in the industry get treated pretty crappy most of the time. But like watching the other guys that I work with, sometimes the clients are way quicker to be more harsh and like mean to them rather than me because I'm a girl.
So a good engineer is able to go into any room and to be able to read the room and maneuver accordingly. Because like depends on the type of session you're in. Sometimes like your job is just to record and just make sure everything just goes smoothly. But other times they actually expect you to like vocal produce and like all sorts of creative input. So just being able to read the room is very important.
So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to Life on Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
And everywhere, because life happens to everyone. I am your host, Stone Stafford, with my ride or die.
I don't know about all that ride or die stuff. I'm Johnny Vaughn, though. So,
Well, hold up. Are you dropping out on me now?
I'm just
We're not ride or die anymore?
Today I'm feeling a little...
We've been ride or die for like 167 episodes. Now all of a sudden you're not.
Take a day off.
Wow, the loyalty.
It's
Ain't
one
nobody
day.
loyal.
It's just one day. They're not arguing with me. So
Anyway,
they understand.
so this is about to be the best looking podcast you guys have seen in a while. We have two guests with us. We have Emily Donaldson, female engineer, and we have Jessica Wong, female engineer. What up?
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, this is not one of those, okay? So, what's up, y'all? Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for taking
You're
the
so
time out.
comfortable. Girl, get up on that microphone. I just made a statement about these female engineers knowing
Are
stuff.
you
You
talking
said-
to me? Okay,
And
my
then,
bad,
like-
my bad.
You better be
My
careful.
bad.
You don't want to get the STFU.
I don't even know what that
I'm just
means.
saying. That's right. That's mine.
That's my thing that he associates with me for some reason.
Because
STFU.
you say it all the time.
Oh, I do.
It's with love.
I got you. With
All
love.
the time.
It's okay, I'm not going to say it today.
I like it. With love. I dig it. Okay.
So anyway, so we're going to hop right into this. So both of you are female engineers.
Yep.
And dare I say, up and coming, right? Still,
Yep.
I mean, you've done some stuff, right? But you're up and coming for the most part, which is why I wanted you on here, because it seems like there is more of an influx of female engineers and producers happening, which I love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wanted you guys, as people that have done some things, you're not quite in the starter's block, don't have the Grammy yet, keyword yet.
Yet.
But so I think it's a perfect spot in your careers to talk to some folks. So as female engineers, I just wanted to know, how did you even become an engineer? Like, why did you even want to be an engineer?
Yeah, was it because y'all just got sick of dudes doing it wrong, or is it just a feminine touch that was missing? What was it?
I think it's a little bit of everything. So just a little bit of background. I started playing piano since I was 4, so I've always been in music my whole life. And then so for college, I decided I wanted to keep doing music, but I didn't want to like be a performer. I didn't want to keep playing the piano. So
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Berkeley College of Music.
Berkeley. Shout out to Berkeley.
Yep. And then I looked up all the majors they have to offer. So I decided music and production is something that I wanted to do. So I just went ahead and just study that major there, and
Right.
here I am.
But how does it get from music and production to engineering, though, specifically?
So actually at Berkeley, it's more engineering heavy than
Oh, okay.
production.
Okay,
But it's
nice.
both, but like more engineering heavy. So that's kind of my background.
Got you.
Yep.
Emily,
What
what
about you,
happened?
Em?
I didn't really have a musical background at all. I always really loved music. Like going to concerts, going to festivals was like my favorite thing in the world. And I just had an itch to do something with it. So at the time, I was in college and majoring in marketing. And so I tried to use that to get my foot in the door. And I just went to different studios up here in the city and like offered them my marketing services to be like a marketing intern, since that's what I was majoring in at the time. And but once I got in there, I would just watch the guys engineer and just kind of started picking it up and took it from there.
I love that. So you didn't really have a musical background.
Not at all.
Right? But you
Not at
decided. So I know both of you. I don't want to say obviously, because sometimes we have guests that I don't know, right? But I happen to know both of you. You worked here for a while with Drummer Boy.
Yep.
Now, there is something about both of you that I can say because I've witnessed it with my own eyes, is that both of y'all are hustlers. Like, I've seen you make your way around circles like nobody's business, right?
Yeah.
And I've literally seen you work your butt off. And we're talking from someone that I don't know how to do this, to your freaking tracking and mixing records, like literally 0 to 100.
Right.
So I dare say that's probably a big part of your success thus far. But being the case, you're females though. I mean, that's the obvious question that we're going to ask.
Yep.
The pros and the cons. I mean, like, yeah, like you got to break it down. Like, what are some of the things you've experienced? You know, on the good side of things, and because we already know in a male-dominated anything, if you're a female, there's going to be some negatives. So I kind of want to touch on all of them. So who wants to go first? Share some experiences, maybe pros. Maybe start with the pros because the cons can get juicy.
You want to go first?
I'll say it's definitely a double-edged sword. I'd say mainly like one of the pros is probably just like, I mean, I think we all know that engineers in the industry get treated pretty crappy most of the time. But like watching the other guys that I work with, like sometimes the clients are way quicker to be like more harsh and like mean to them rather than me because I'm a girl. Which sometimes it's not an all the time thing. Like sometimes they're, you know,
just jerks, period.
Rude. Yeah, like that, no matter who it is. But sometimes you do notice the difference of how they change if like I'm in there doing it.
Interesting. You know who that's like? Like Tasha. Like she can talk to these dudes any old kind of way. But like if I did that, it's a fight.
Well, you're a jerk, first of all. Tasha's nicer than you are.
Something in the air today.
Oh, it's we are predispositioned as a species to treat women a little kinder than we treat dudes. That's period.
Really?
Absolutely.
Think so?
Yes.
Because
no
we can run down a list of folks that don't agree with that.
No,
I feel like I'm mainly aware of what I just said though, just because of like the guys that I work with pointed it out.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. No, we noticed it for sure.
There was a situation where I was on an assistant team of 3 engineers. I was the only guy, and I got dogged terribly for no reason, and the girls were taken care of. And we are absolutely going to recognize when that happens. But I also think that young ladies who are able to use that to their advantage, because if you happen to still be talented, you don't have to deal with the negative stuff that comes with it, and then you can just focus on the career path of it. Most of the dudes that have to deal with the crap, it can be a little debilitating.
And do y'all think dudes do that though? I mean, we're gonna keep it 1,000. Do you think dudes do that to kind of set themselves up to maybe take their shot or think they might?
Yeah, sometimes, depends, not everybody, but sometimes they can definitely do that. But I think as a female engineer, a lot of times, like, especially when you get to a certain point, you just don't even give them the energy that, hey, I'm here to mess around. I'm just here to work. So, like, they won't even try to do that, you know? No,
that's big facts, actually. I was dating around. I got turned down before I even asked a question. Because I just walked up and the air was like, no. So I was like, okay, there's no vibes there.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like you have to be mean to somebody. I'm still nice to them. I'm nice to everybody. Please? Like, don't be mean. Like, you can like give off like business energy without being mean. You can still be nice with it, you know.
That's true.
It's a subconscious thing, though, because even the people who come in with that hardball type of thing, they soften up with the ladies. It's always good to have a very talented lady with you on your team, and then push her to the front. I do that in a lot of situations now, just because they see the beard and the hat, and it immediately puts people in a particular
It's like
mindset.
hardball.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, but with the ladies, especially, again, if they're talented and they know what they're doing, you can allow them to be proxies, and then it elevates them, because I'm not trying to make this sound like a guy has to put a woman in front of in front of them to do anything, but it actually makes the team stronger when you have someone on your team like that can actually disarm, so to speak, whoever you're working with, so that you can get the job done faster. I always have an appreciation for that subconscious thing that we do as people, because it makes the ladies be able to, 1, shine, and then 2, it makes the projects move by faster too.
Have y'all ever used that to your advantage, where you know the dudes are being nice, and so you actually play that?
Ask that question.
I mean, that's comes with the advantage. Yeah,
This comes with the advantage.
Part of the advantage.
Emily's just like, yeah. course.
No, I'm just thinking
course
about
I
it because
have.
I feel like you don't feel bad for taking that advantage because of the disadvantages.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
it all balances out. So
I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I think it's for all the disadvantages. If that's
Oh,
a
I'm not
primary
saying
one,
whether you
it's-
deserve to do it or not. I'm just wondering, have you done it?
Right.
I'm wondering about the creative aspect of being in the rooms. As a guy, when I was tracking 20 years ago, you should just shut up. You get in there with the producer and the artist. There wasn't much talking. It was one of those like speak if spoken to kind of situations. But a lot of my female friends now, one of them is an amazing vocal producer, and her opinion is always asked. You ladies find that in the situations where you witness guys get hammered more, that your input is welcomed a little bit easier, and that it's easier to be a creative in those spaces than it would be otherwise.
I'll go first.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think it all depends on the situation. I think that's what makes a good engineer. So a good engineer is able to go into any room and to be able to read the room and maneuver accordingly. Because like depends on the type of session you're in. Sometimes like your job is just to record and just make sure everything just goes smoothly. But other times they actually expect you to like vocal produce and like all sorts of creative input. So just being able to read the room is very important. And also like as a female engineer, sometimes like I would like, you know, like working with new clients, and especially with me like being Asian, like I'm born and raised in Macau. So I moved here like in 2015. So sometimes like they would like kind of at first they would like not question, but they would like I can tell that they're like,
Wonder if you're valid.
will she be able to like get the job done?
Right.
But like once like, you know, like we start working together, they like, okay, yeah, that she got it. So
And that's really the kind of the core of it all is that can you do the job?
yeah.
Period. It really, and that part right there kind of crushes whether or not you're female or male or not. Can you do the job? Period.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I definitely love that. So the negative things, have you guys experienced that? And we're talking the sexism, misogyny, you know, inequality, harassment. Have you guys had experience with those?
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Break it down.
Or we should ask this question first. Is it something that's not comfortable to talk about because of how it happens, or?
No, not
Okay.
necessarily. Or, I mean, she honestly gave the best answer earlier of just like the advice of going in there and having the mentality and the energy of like, I'm not here for all that. Like,
But
I'm
we
here to
know
do
that
a
sometimes
job.
with guys that don't matter. Like they're
Oh,
just going to be
definitely.
pushy a-holes.
I honestly think one of the worst things to come across is just the worry that if you're turning down someone, it's going to get you to lose an opportunity.
And that's so real though.
Yeah.
Has that happened? That to your knowledge? Because you know sometimes that can happen. You don't know
I
if you lost an
mean,
opportunity or not.
Right, not like on a big scale. Like, of course, I may have seen like the energy change in the room, and them, of course, not like request me next time, maybe. But
So it almost goes back to what I was saying. They were all nice to you, but that's because
Right.
they were trying to set up to shoot a shot.
Right.
What about you? Have you experienced any of that stuff?
Not too much. I would say a little bit more earlier on when I was like starting. When I started, like, well, I noticed a few things. One of them being when I was like here, when I was with Drum Boy, or not even that, like just any other occasion too. Like sometimes like I would be the only female in the room, and like I might be the engineer, I might just be the intern, but like guys would come in the room and like they just kind of ignore you. Like they'll say hi to everybody and then like just except for you. So that happened before. And then also, well, not too much harassment. I mean, obviously some guys would try to shoot the shot, but I mean, like at a certain point, I just stopped like giving off that energy, and it's just more like professional energy. So,
I mean, I like that I'm hearing that it doesn't sound like it's as prevalent of a problem
yeah,
that I think it might be. That's kind of good to hear.
I think the
At
industry's
least for
starting to evolve a little bit more now to where that's not the mindset from what I've experienced. So where it's not like top of mind like it used to be.
Right.
I've heard some guys be misogynistic off jump as soon as a female is in the room.
Right.
And in today's day and age, and it could be just because we've gotten more sensitive to it socially, just as a collective, and that it's starting to permeate through every industry. But I think more so in entertainment now, we're starting to see more so that it's been proven that women are absolutely capable. So the respect is almost like it's given.
So you feel there's a shift in the change?
I think this was and I'm not trying to mansplain. Don't want to like I'm doing that.
Mansplain.
I want to seem like a mansplaining. Y'all kick me in the mouth if I'm saying something out of line.
Oh,
but I mean, I'm
love
just
to.
I see my male friends who in the past would have been that way offer up their female assistants first.
Okay.
Or suggest a female producer or a female writer first. Now it's like, no, she's doper than anybody else I got access to.
Right.
So I have seen that personally, that it seems like it's shifting. Is it on a massive scale yet? Has it hit everywhere? Are we feeling it to the level that we should? That's to be debated, but I feel like we're on the right track. Would y'all think that that's probably something that's happening? And if it is, what can we do to make it go faster?
I think in the business standpoint, it is happening, but as far as like socially, I still don't think it is.
Okay.
Like just as far as like how you're talked to sometimes, like just because I think they can both happen in the same sentence. Like I've had a guy come in and say like inappropriate things to me, but then like the next minute also recommend me to someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
so
Inappropriate, like I don't know. He called you.
I mean,
Honey buns or something like
no, just like stuff that you shouldn't say when you're like working and you see a girl and like you don't know me, like you don't even know my name, and you're saying this kind of stuff to me. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But then, like I said, the next minute they could like be hyping me up. And,
Right. Why do we do that? I wonder. Why do we do that?
I feel like just possibly. I don't think I have. Well, I wouldn't say I've never experienced it, but like I don't have a very deep memory of it. But just like hearing from you guys talk about it, I would say that probably one possibility is like him like hyping you up afterward can like get you to have more like him better.
You think it's like an ulterior motive?
Possibly.
Okay.
Not all the time.
So
but
okay.
that's kind of the common theme that I'm getting here. It's like with women in a male-dominated industry or sector, you're constantly wondering what's genuine.
That's honestly the worst part. I think it's just the wondering if it's genuine or not, or
Right.
like second guessing yourself.
Do you bother doing that though? Like, do you spend a lot of time in your head wondering if that's the case? Is that a
Honestly, yeah.
yeah? Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's honest.
It'd be a whole nother thing if you knew if it was genuine or not. And you
Right.
could just take it for what it is. But like he said, like the wondering, like, am I actually like earning this opportunity,
Right.
or am I just like
Right.
be given it because of
Because I'm a size C or something like that.
right?
I think it could be what I just said, but also like if you genuinely just so talented at what you do, like the guys might just like, I just want you to like see you win as well,
Right.
like I want to like recommend you, like you can do this job like so good, like like she is the one for it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely, at the end of the day, I still feel the skill will dictate the vibe. But, just being honest and trying to be as empathetic as I can, that's a constant concern, I think, for women. Even when your skills have proven. I mean, look, you guys are not hard on the eyes at all. And I feel like that's an issue. I feel like it can be an issue. And somebody might be like, "Oh, you ugly shaming." I don't even know if that's a thing, but everything gets canceled nowadays. And y'all know me. I'm gonna step on that line. But let's just be honest where society is. I mean, we are visually stimulated. So when you have a woman that's pretty or whatever it is, I mean, yeah, your talent can show out all day. I still feel that guys will keep that thing on the side of like, yeah, let me go on and get in good. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's gotta suck. Just like you said, it's like, am I here because I deserve to be here or because they trying to set me up?
Yeah, I think that's when you like have to like, like find like surround yourself with people that aligns with like your values and stuff. I mean, obviously with business it's not always the case. Sometimes like you don't always work with people that share the same beliefs or
Facts.
values as you. But so obviously, you put yourself forward, professional, and if the people that they don't respect the situation, then obviously they're not the people that you should
There
be
you,
working
and I think
with.
that's the bottom line. At the end of the day, you go in there, you have your laser focus. This is what I'm here. I'm here to be the best at it. Either you respect me for it or not. And you just literally just, well, these back in the day, talk to the hand back in the day, do one of them things. You know what I'm saying? So, did you have something?
I got a bunch of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
You want? All right. Go ahead.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Because
It's still
I've been
fun.
blah 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 blah.
Yeah. You talk too much. It's okay.
There it is.
Across industries for the last 20 years or so, we've been seeing in the film world female actors or actresses getting the shine they deserve and actually getting placed on pedestals next to their male counterparts. There was a big one a few years ago when the conversation about Serena Williams in the sports world, when they were like, she's the greatest female tennis player of all time. And she was immediately, people were corrected immediately. She's one of the greatest tennis players, period. In the music world, if you aren't in it like us, you may not be able to name female engineers like Susan Rogers. Carrie Keys is one that comes to mind for me.
Perry.
Trina, Trina Shoemaker's another big one. Exactly. Like those names don't roll off the tongue unless you're in the industry. But from where you ladies' vantage points are of having your foot in the door and making a name for yourself now, do you see the trail has been blazed for the opportunity for y'all to make a solid name for yourselves and garner the respect that you'll deserve for being talented engineers and producers next to your male counterparts? Or do you see, and I don't want this to sound contradictory to what I just asked, but do you see that from what y'all just said, and this is changing what I said, because remember I said that I feel like there's a shift happening. But I also think that women are starting to get the credit in the music industry that they truly deserve. Do y'all see that it's going to be an easier path now with what some of the names that I've mentioned have been and then some of the shifts that's happening? Or do y'all see that it possibly still being a roadblock that y'all may have to be the generation that kicks down for the girls that come up after you?
I think, the pathway has begun to open, but I wouldn't say that is all the way open because a lot of clients that I worked with, especially like first-time clients, they come in the room, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, I've never worked with a female engineer before." Like they always think that it's dope, but it's not something that they're used to. So I think that like us female engineers, like now we have to just set the example and just let everybody know that, hey, we can do the job just as good, if not better, than the men. So I think the path is there. We're opening it
So
up.
y'all are shouldering some of the weight still to kick some stuff
Yep.
down.
I think so. I think the door is like off the hinge.
Right.
It's just like
Ain't quite kicked in
but
yet.
yeah, not quite kicked in yet. But when I had Baby Girl, the producer Baby Girl, play the beats and everything, they were like, "Damn, let's go hard!" And we walk in the room, it's like, "Oh snap, that was a female."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, seriously? It's definitely uphill battle. All right, so I'm gonna call you guys a double minority. Because one, obviously, you're females in a highly male-dominated sector of the music industry. I mean, the music industry is highly male-dominated anyway, but then you're in another hyper male-dominated sector of engineering, so minority one. But then, as a white female and an Asian female in hip-hop, because y'all primarily work with a lot of hip-hop artists. I mean, others as well, I've seen that. But primarily with hip hop. Any issues with that you found, because it has something to do with a woman, but then where race and gender are combined in that genre, how's that been for you?
Honestly, I haven't experienced many negative things. Because for the longest time, like I've expanded the genres that I listen to a lot, but rap was like my favorite genre forever, and like hip hop, and like a lot of the people that I listen to a lot, like Dolph and Glock, I ended up getting to work with, so it was like already like a huge like oh dang moment for me.
Right.
But I don't think, particularly pertaining to hip hop and being in that genre, it presented any issues. Like
Okay.
Dolph was honestly one of the nicest clients I've ever come into contact
Nice.
with.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Way to go, Dolph.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would agree. Like I haven't really had like a lot of issues because I've also like surrounded myself in that environment. I listen to a lot of like hip hop and R&B. I actually I started with R&B first, so that was my first love, and then I expanded to like hip hop and like all these other genre. But I have been working like with like R&B and hip hop for a long time, and so it's pretty second nature at this point. So so I haven't had much issues with that. In terms of like with the race thing, I would not as much like I said earlier. Sometimes like when they first met you, they'll kind of like wonder if you'll be able to like deliver what this genre needs, but that hasn't really been the issue.
Do y'all see a generational difference with y'all's clients?
Man,
Is
it
it different from older R&B and hip hop clients as opposed to the younger ones that have a disposition towards one way or the other, to where the way they respond or treat you in the beginning?
Not too much, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, my generation thing was different.
Yeah.
What would you assume it to
Well, what I was going to say was
the old people are more stuck in their ways than the younger people, and young people care less.
Well, actually,
if you go towards that, then I'd say yeah. Like if you're talking about their style and like what they're willing to try in form of and like pertaining to music, then I'd say that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my generation thing really had more to do with tech, because I feel like it would have been harder for y'all 15 years ago, because now we see a bunch of female producers and engineers and stuff doing it on TikTok and in that. So it isn't as taboo anymore. So I think the stage is set for you guys to finally knock the door down. But you figure 15 years ago, we didn't have the whole TikTok and all this, so you didn't even know that you existed, or even your counterpart existed or something like that. You know what I mean? So I feel the stage is set for you guys to be able to do your thing for sure. And I think that's probably why it isn't as difficult as maybe Linda Perry had it, or as Jane Child had it, or people back in the day. Because those girls did it. Like, did it. You know what I mean? What's Alicia Keys' engineer?
Oh, I
forget her name.
I don't know her name.
Yeah, but like, dope. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing it. But sure, like they probably had it 10 times worse. So I think that kind of helps with it, at all. Now, where your craft is actually concerned, like learning to become a better engineer, right? And then the career side, like, building clienteles, what has been your biggest challenge? So what have been your challenges as far as learning the craft of engineering? What has been your biggest challenges? And then building clientele and handling your business as a career, what have been some of your biggest challenges? Let's start with the craft part.
Craft. For me personally, just because of like me not coming from a very musical background, I think a lot of it was just kind of like getting the hang of things like music theory when they come into play and stuff like that, which not that it always applies, just because you get to go off of a feeling.
I was going to say, how much
time.
does music theory apply when being an
only
engineer?
Sometimes, like most of the time I feel like you can get it off of the feeling, but as far as things that it's like a yes or a no, like key and like tempo, stuff like that, you just got to learn. But yeah, I'd say that's been the biggest hurdle for me.
Okay. What about you?
Just trying to catch up.
To me, I would say so far probably vocal production is still something that I am learning. Like, I do vocal production, definitely, but
that's the second time you brought that up.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. Should vocal production automatically be wrapped into engineering, though?
No.
Like, in the way I came up, it didn't.
Depends.
But it seems like clients expect that nowadays.
I think it depends on how much the artist trusts you. Because, like, I would not call myself a vocal producer by any means, but, like, an artist I work with a lot and a good friend of mine, like, I vocal produce her. Just because we have that good relationship and, like, it ends up... We have a chemistry to where it comes out well.
So she trusts your opinion.
I think that question is probably more of a general, not even just targeted to female producer standpoint. It's
not at all.
When you can get a one-stop shop, it's easier to do that than have to pay two people to come in on a production rate. You got an engineer, now you got a vocal producer. That's plus studio time. That's just raising the bill.
Nah,
but if you got,
I will say this:
if you got somebody that's
put on my music business coach hat, because I know I do music business coaching. Yeah. That should be something you should be charging separate for.
Well,
I'm gonna just say that right now.
I'm not saying you.
I'm not correcting
not saying you don't.
I'm not correcting
But
you.
what I'm saying is, so when I was still tracking and vocal producing, I wasn't charging you a full tracking and full broker-reducing rate. It'll be higher, but I wasn't charging you double. Instead, if you were bringing both people, that's $1,200 and $1,200.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So
for sure.
instead of it being 24, I might hit you for 18, and then now you got
to
both.
be clear, I wasn't correcting you at all.
But I want to make sure what I was saying was clear. As if I wouldn't, because Stone would be man, Johnny didn't know what was talking about.
What is going on?
I didn't want Stone not going to throw me under the bus. I do the bus throwing
No,
over here.
not at all. So I'm agreeing with you, but we have people that are, now just listening and learning. So if you find now, don't get me wrong, because this is where people then get money hungry. They start penny picking, right?
Right.
If you're giving suggestions here or there, blah, 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 that's cool, because at the end of the day, there's still a relationship earning the trust, right? For them to trust what you're doing. But when you find you're flat out vocal producing a joint, that's a separate fee, and you can't, you shouldn't be scared to charge that.
Sure.
But you have to communicate that.
Right.
You be like, you know what? I feel at this point, I'm doing like sheer vocal production, and I normally charge a separate fee for that. We can negotiate that. I'm willing to help. I want to do it, type of thing. But don't just go in there doing 2 jobs, getting paid for one.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to let y'all know.
I have a couple of things to say about that in
Say it.
particular. So
I'm gonna sip on it while you say that.
So yeah, so like we all know, like with engineers, like we are not treated as like we're supposed to be treated. And this whole like thing is a little bit messed up, with certain things. But so unless like if you're like really good at vocal production and you're good at like recording, then already, and plus if you have the connections and the clientele already, you're a top tier engineer. At that point, you can be charging $800 a day. So that already separates you from the rest of the engineers. But if you're not at that level, but you're still doing vocal production, you're good at it, but you don't have that clientele, there's plenty of other engineers that can do the same thing. Maybe not as good, but good enough. So at that point, if you want to charge extra, they're like, it's okay. Like, we'll go with somebody. Like, we'll go with somebody else. So,
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I said there's a relationship part, but people may have glossed on it. So you just broke that down. So I'm glad you did. So, because there are some, because on one hand, people like know your worth, know your value. People go and start charging crap. But if you ain't really quote unquote nobody yet, I mean, it's about the relationship first. It's about getting them to want you to do stuff and all that kind of stuff. So, no, thanks for breaking that part down.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone probably glossed. Yeah, they probably glossed.
Now, I'm going to throw this out there, because I know a lot of my female friends, and one of them told me she stole this from me specifically. If I'm referred to someone and you go with me, then
you're referred?
Yeah. If you come, if a client is brought to me through a referral from another client, you get what the rate is, because I'm not trying to build a relationship at that point. You came on a referral, and one of my friends told me she does that specifically because if you go in there with the discount mindset off of referrals, you kind of trap yourself into that situation, and then people believe that that's where you are. Yeah. So it goes to what you said, is knowing what your worth is and charging it out the door, and not so much. There's certain situations where you worry about the relationship. It's like a cold calling thing. First time working with somebody, you got matched up because somebody knocked off and they just weren't there. Okay, different scenario. But if your name is what got you there, the rate is what it is.
So I'm gonna hit back on that one.
Okay.
Because I feel, and then y'all chime in on this, I feel relationships are potentially so important that I think you should treat every new situation with relationship first in mind. And this comes with time and experience. So I am going to disclaim that. This comes with time and experience, but
he's old.
When you kind of sense that I don't really know if the relationship part is going to be such a priority, just shift it to business. And that can happen quickly. But if it seems like this relationship can be something, that's just, and in my story recently, how relationships have just literally changed the whole trajectory of my life. But I've always felt that way, and now that I'm living and seeing it on a hyper level, so I'm not saying you're wrong, but I still feel you should keep, whether it's a referral or not, you don't know who that person is referring, who that person is, and what the next opportunity is. I used to tell my artists when I managed them, when you sing in a room full of people, you're only singing for one or two person, and that's the king or the queen in the room, and that's who has your next opportunity. Everyone else, they're just enjoying, they're bystanders. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a balance. I'm
gonna say this one thing, and I'm gonna shut up, because I definitely want to hear what y'all got to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna right back at you on this. I think there are two factors in there that change that now. time being the number one thing you talked about. 10, 15 years ago, absolutely. Things are more expensive now. I ain't got time to be giving you a financial break on how much I cost because of how much stuff costs me. Period. That's one.
All right.
Two, it's almost like you elevate your friend, elevate your business partner, elevate your circle thing. What I have found is that the high caliber clientele that I work with don't care about me charging my full rate because money is the money's there.
True.
They're looking for quality product.
You literally can do both at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you get into a circle where one, you got talent, everyone's bringing their part and you're creating something great, and then money's not an issue, that's the kind of environment you want to be in. So that's to culminate that whole thing, and what I'm actually trying to say is that you weed out that bottom feeder type of clientele that you may not want to become a part of your everyday thing. Because I think I'm pretty sure y'all have. I definitely did. I did a whole bunch of $20 an hour sessions, a bunch of $12 an hour sessions when I first got started in the early 2000s because I had to. And there came a point where I was like, I'm not going to get to that next level if everybody sees that this is, it doesn't matter what the quality of your work is. Yeah. I literally got asked one time, why are you not charging more? Right. When I got asked that question, it changed how I looked at stuff. So
how did y'all dictate what you charge? That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
How did y'all come up with what you charge? You can say what you charge if you want. I don't know, but how did you come up with that?
Don't let Stone bait y'all. You don't have to do that.
The first idea was, by how much my home studio pays, per hour, per room. And then, depending on your experience, you just kind of gauge it on that. But I do think not that it varies a lot, but, depending on if I do put that relationship first and the person for some reason is they're an independent artist, they're not signed, they're working a day job also, they're sometimes you just kind of relate to people on that and you're like, I really truly enjoy doing music with you and I think you have awesome talent, so I'm gonna cut you a break. You know what I'm saying? But like he said, it is nice when you're in a situation where they're with a label, they have the money, so you don't have to worry about that. But it differs.
So if y'all want to work with Emily, just know that she is a benevolent soul.
She will work with your budget.
I gotta like you a lot.
Okay. What about you? How did you come up with your rates?
I think I agree with what Emily said. And also, it depends on the client. Whether it's like a label artist or independent artist. But also on top of that, right now I am working with a team that kind of does that kind of management for me. Mm-hmm. So I can just focus on just nice. Being there, do my job, just be creative. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about just the payment part of thing, because that's usually what
talk to my people. I love that.
Yeah.
That mess up the relationship with your client. So I got give a shout out to my boy Andrew, Track It Services. He just started this company that right now mainly catering to engineer. So he will do all the invoices, payment, even with mostly record label sessions. He'll just pay you right off, and then he'll deal with collecting the payments later. That's and sometimes he can even negotiate your rate for you. So I think having somebody like that on your team can really help. So you're not the one that's always hey, let's talk about money.
Absolutely.
So
I tell you what, can I give a shout out to a woman though who used to run that game in Atlanta? Her name was Monica Tannian.
Yep.
Monica ran. She represented almost every big engineer there was in Atlanta, and she was sweetest person, a beast to deal with. But I'm happy to say it fits that. Man, the room's moving a little slow for me right now. Shout out to Post Meridium. That's Post Meridium. I got the daiquiri today, but Monica used to. I just want to shout the woman out, who's not here, Monica Tannian, for sure.
One thing that me and my circle of producer and engineer friends started doing real early was talking about how much money we were charging. Are y'all discussing that in the female circles now, so that y'all know, not just so y'all know in relation to one another, but with your male counterparts too, to try to help, level the market out so that everyone's getting fair market rate? Because I have found some very, very talented live female engineers who we'd be at lunch and they would mention what their rates were, and I'd have to stop eating. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it just comes up in conversation. I don't have to stop. I'm like, hey, okay, first of all, you finish this show, and then the next one you do, that's not your rate no more. And then I'll tell them what mine is, and then they were, well, how did you get to that? And I was like, X, Y, Z.
Right.
And in one of those instances, her name's Danielle Wells. Shockingly enough, her last name's the same as mine. At the time, she was a doper engineer than I was live, and I could not believe what they were trying to pay her.
Right. And you think that had to do because she was a woman?
Oh, no question. Wow. Absolutely. Because the powers that be, if they can save $1 here and there, they absolutely will. Plus, the relationship thing, I have taken that more seriously than some people. I mean, I do have really good relationships with my clients. But are y'all having those conversations? Like, are y'all talking about what rates are in y'all circles, and are y'all making sure that everybody's getting what they're supposed to get, or is it kind of like a still fend for yourself kind of thing? I mean, you got people, so we know it's not you.
It's not that like I don't always like have my like team doing that kind of stuff. Like sometimes like for like smaller sessions, like I'll still like like take care of all that stuff myself. But I don't think I actively talk about it. But like when asked, like I don't mind talking about it. So I don't like actively. I'm not. Hey, like what's your rate? Like that's my rate.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Jessica. How much you get paid?
How much money you make? I will say this though, across everything that we discuss on this particular platform, that's one of the things that people are still shy of talking about is money. And whether it be because we've been trained, corporate America does that. They try to threaten you and say you can't talk about it, which is illegal in a bunch of places. But when equality starts to happen, it's because of knowing what your value. You can't know what your value is unless you're gauging it up against somebody else. I hate to say that, but that's a fact. And if you know what your skill set is, and you have someone whose skill set is comparable, if you don't know what that payout is, your imagination is probably gonna undershoot what it is. The number one thing I have found out over my 22 years of working in different aspects of the industry is that there is no shortage of money anywhere. Even when people start saying we're cutting back here, we're budgeting this, there's always more money in that slush pool than you can imagine. And I've had many of those situations where I come in and I was like, I don't know really what to charge, so I just throw a number out. And you hear all the time in movies and stuff, like, oh man, I should have hit for more. And I was like, yeah, I should have doubled that.
And
easily.
the doper you are, the more confidence you can have in
exactly.
That.
So I feel like those conversations are important to have. Not telling you guys to go start doing the hi, I'm Jessica, I make this money. But I was just curious if those conversations, I know they're happening in my circles. Because a lot of the project managers I work with, a lot of the other engineers, when we get dope guys, like there's a guy I met on a gig last week. We produced a Delta show here. And one of the guys I met, I pulled him aside because for what they had him doing and what his capabilities were, I'm going to pull him onto one of my teams for something real soon. And I immediately asked him, I was like, yo, are they, because I knew what some of the other guys were making. I'm like, are they taking care of you on this? And he told me what he was getting. And I was like, all right, that's cool. That's right in the ballpark for what it is. Because some of the other guys that were doing less than him were hitting bigger. Which, cool, I'm not mad at anybody making more money for something, but if he would have been making less for what he was doing and I knew how dope he was just within 4 days, I would have had to do something about it.
You looking out for other people, and I appreciate that.
And all right, so that's what the next question was going to be is do y'all...
I don't hear about that a lot, specifically. Like, do females in entertainment... I mean, we know the panels and the programs that go on. We get that. That's public facing. But when the cameras aren't on, people aren't watching... Even after this podcast, would it be like, yo, we need to exchange numbers. I need to make sure we looking like. Do y'all feel that energy at all, or no?
Yeah,
I have. I definitely do.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have ever since like I started just being in the Atlanta area, just doing anything in music.
Can I get you to?
Yeah, my bad. every like female in music, not even just engineer, but producer, manager, whatever. They've all been like super welcoming and encouraging to support each other.
Dope.
Yeah, so.
And you too?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I only have two that I'm going to ask you, and then I'll let Johnny wrap with what he wants to ask. Two-part question. Last one is I want to hear some experiences, like either the funniest, whatever the most standout experience you've ever had as an engineer, whatever it may be, I want to hear that. But before that, in your opinion, what makes a great engineer, in your opinion? Anyone can go first. I'm not an engineer, so I can't speak on it.
Yeah, well, mine will be short. actually mentioned that earlier. Just being able to read the room and just read the situation and do what you need to do.
And responding. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, being a therapist is the number one thing.
Well, let's assume that no one knows what reading the room means. What does that mean, reading the room?
So, like, it can, like, there's a lot of layers to it. So, like, it can be like, okay, like, you're working. So you're here, over here, you're tracking, recording. The artist is in the booth recording. And then you have, like, 5 people behind you telling you what to do. You have to be able to tell, like, okay, who should I listen to? Like, who's actually in charge of the session? Whose opinion matters the most? Like, what should I, how can I deal with this? That's one. And then 2 is, like, like, interacting with people, like feeling the energy, like, how do they want me to act? Like, do they want me to be a part of the session? Like, do they want me to, like, interact with them? Or they just want me to, like, face the computer and just do my thing?
That's
like,
big.
Something like that.
And those, I mean, I'm sorry, this is my experience, those little things right there literally make the biggest differences in the world. They really do. What about you? What makes a great engineer in your opinion?
Her answer was really good. I feel like that's a huge part of it. Even going back to like how you just act and your energy, because I've seen like tons of people come into the studio and they know everything about engineering, but they don't know how to act like in the room around clients, and that's just gonna like not put you back in that same position. I think a big part of it is letting your ego go and letting the artists and the other people in the room like feel like you're catering to their vision. I feel like if they know that you're there solely to help them and you're not necessarily like letting your ego get in the way of what's being done, they're gonna gravitate towards you.
What if that vision is whack?
It's
And
their
again,
vision.
it's your opinion. I'm saying it's all subjective, but what if you're like, this is garbage?
It's their vision. I mean, of course, there's like more details to it to where like if the mix is bad and you're like, okay, like I don't believe in anything this man is saying, but I'm gonna at least make it sound good. Yeah, like you could at least make it sound good. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's their vision. If they're cool with it, you did your job for real.
Because there is a point where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm just getting paid. It's like I'm so not even emotionally connected to this work right now.
Honestly, that's what happened to me. Like when the trap thing started becoming big and that part of my career, I stopped tracking because I couldn't associate with anything that was happening in the room. And I mean, it was yo, Jay, what you think?
You like it, I love it. That was exactly. You like it, I love it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, it's again like going back to kind of the creative thing. I do think from what I've seen, I mean, I'm not a tracking engineer anymore, but I mean, I've seen a lot of engineers get pulled into the creative process in sessions that I have been in. Which is something I did not see a lot of or experience a lot of unless I was brought in specifically for that. But it's getting to a point now where I think a lot of people, if you don't connect with it, I'm out.
Yeah,
and that's
so
a lot.
You got to fake it.
Yeah, that's a lot of the reason why.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever faked it? I mean, in the studio. In the studio. In the studio.
Oh,
this isn't Life on Podcast After Dark.
You doing that?
This ain't Life on Podcast After Dark. Have you ever faked it in the studio? I mean, doing music.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
You can't help. Oh my God!
There it is. Yeah, catch up.
Why can't you help yourself, man?
Because you gotta be clear. Someone somewhere went down that path, so I had to clear it up. But you're just like, sometimes I gotta act like I like it.
I want to ask this. I was kind of setting up to ask this. This is like my last question, because again, it's why I left, because I could no longer associate with the music. I couldn't relate to it. I was literally there for a paycheck. I got tired of telling people, yeah, man, that's great, and I didn't care. What do you see the evolution of where you are now as engineers? Again, being early in your careers, Grammys loading and all of that. But I mean, do you see engineering as the long run? There's some really great engineers. They had no desire ever to be a writer, a producer, anything. They always just wanted to engineer. They've been doing it for 30 years. But then there are others who you hit a gear and then you may go down a vocal production route, or you may find yourself back as an artist.
Cool Carell.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Cool Carell.
Yep. So like, what do y'all see that? I hate that to be the, what do you see yourself in 10 years question, but in essence, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, very much so.
I still see myself like doing engineering, rather it be like tracking or mixing. I still seeing that being a part of my career, but I definitely want to expand. Like I don't just see myself as an engineer in the future. I am looking into like possibly doing more like production,
Figured that.
more like specifically executive producing.
Okay.
That's something that I
let's
am
talk.
more
I can
interested
see that.
in.
That's awesome.
Like, I
Yeah, let's
want to
talk.
take on a more executive role in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What about
Take
you?
it.
I think if I were to stay within the engineering bubble, it'd be for like mixing. I really, really enjoy mixing, but I also enjoy writing a lot. I love DJing.
Really?
I think, yeah, we'll just see like wherever it takes me.
I'll introduce
So-
you. This guy named Bobby Leroy. He was looking for someone to collab with and stuff like
Is
that.
Oh,
it
yeah?
the DJ thing? Got shows coming up?
For both.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Bobby
but
Leroy's
she
dope.
said something. No, you said something. No, you said something.
What?
Somebody said
Somebody
something.
said
So
About
what
what?
is it? What's the deal with the mixing thing? Because here at Icon, Icon Studios, ATL. We get these. They come in, they're tracking, and all of a sudden everybody wants to be a mix engineer. Everybody wants.
I think.
What's
I
is
think
it? Is
the
it
hype
a
around mixing is
prestige or
because-
what is it?
No, it's because like you get the love of. Well, first of all, it's like of course more creative than just tracking, but I think you get to be an engineer without dealing with all the BS. Like, because think like when you're mixing, most of the time unless you're
yourself.
sitting in, you're by yourself. You're getting to take your time. You don't have someone breathing down your neck.
And then you get
like,
notes back
A million people like being so
Yeah.
loud and like it's just engineering without all the BS. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That's-
Mixing, engineering without all the BS.
Yeah, for
sounds like a
real.
commercial.
Yeah.
You agree or have other points on
Yeah,
that?
I agree. I think like recording and mixing actually kind of comes hand in hand because when you're recording, you have to like mix too.
See, I
So
love that.
it comes hand in hand, but mixing it just when you record like you mix too. So
Can I just touch on that? Shout out
Yeah.
engineers. If you can record and mix as you go, I'm telling you right now, you are in demand. Shout out to freaking Drew Castro. If you ever listen to this podcast, one of the best to ever do it. I swear to you, when you were done recording, he's bouncing. And you're like, oh, am I going to get a mix? Already done. Yeah. That dude had like bionic fingers. I swear. Drew, shout out to you, bro.
Most of you engineers, I'm gonna say this too. As you continue to build your template base and all that stuff, you'll start having mixes kind of pre-built. Like I got to a point in my career, I still have them. Like I've got
Are those the templates that I hear people talking about?
I've got 40 gigs of project templates that I could track into any session, and it was
No, you still have to tweak them though,
I mean, you
right?
still got to tweak them, but I mean,
Okay,
it's
okay.
a starting point for a mix, and it's not much you got to do.
and the thing is like especially when you start working with like higher profile clients, like everything should be mixed before like it's even recorded. Like the moment they
Wait. What?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
everything should be mixed before it's recorded. So the moment they
wanna
get
hear
in front of the
effects.
mic, they put the headphones
They wanna
on.
hear
It should already
delays.
sound like a record.
They want to hear
as they're doing it.
Yep, they want to hear themselves in reverb.
Yep. So like everything, all of
Interesting.
that like is already in the template. Like it's already mixed before like anything is
And you
recorded.
find that's more of a desired thing?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember doing a session with you.
Yeah, I like my joint dry.
For whatever mission you were telling me to turn stuff off, and I was like,
Yeah, I was
"What
like,
is
dry.
Do you
happening,
really
bro?"
record dry like that?
It's a purist thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to rely on the
Okay.
reverb and none of that to make me sound good.
I've worked
I
with
need to
people
hear
like
what
that,
sound
too.
I was
putting it
shocked,
down,
'cause then nobody-
give my
nobody
best
does
to
it.
that,
I've worked
and then
with people
everything
like that.
else.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything else kind of perfects it. I don't want to
What?
doing the job for me.
Yeah, one point about that somebody made one time, because like you said, like setting up, you have your vocal chain that you use every time or whatever, and then someone was like, well, how do you exactly know what you're missing out on in the vocal, or like what you're getting rid of or adding to if you can't hear like the pure
sound.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like,
I know
I mean,
that. I
that's
know
a
that's
good
old
point.
school for sure. But
You know,
to me, it's
command
the
clicks
purest
easy.
way.
You can mute stuff. Or
Right.
you can turn plugins off kind of easy.
Yeah, I would say like for the template, like mine, like there's a template like that's like my vocal chain and stuff, but everything is like pretty like lightly tweaked.
Yeah.
So like I have like light EQ, light compression, light reverb, everything, just so like it sounds good enough for like people to like feel inspired when they like hear themselves. But like obviously like all of that like not heavy mixing, but like the main mixing happens like after or like during your like recording.
I've never done this before, but I'm gonna drop something I stole from a dope Chuck Davies, who's worked with BB Winans, CC Winans. I could run down
Big
the whole
people.
freaking list. Big people. Most of my vocal templates, especially for when I was mixing and tracking a lot of R&B, I would have 4 audio buses with different chains on them, and my record tracks would be bus to each one, and I would just unmute the buses if they wanted to hear something different. They would always have a different color, different compression styles, different EQ usages in there. So I had options in my templates. Now, granted, you're limited by your DSP and however much computer power you got for how much tracks you can do and all that stuff. I was working in a limited space, but having those 4 to 5 options, and I'm like, I want to hear something different, I would just mute one and unmute the other one. They're all running simultaneously. The primary track, and if you want to hear it dry, I just mute the effects, and then now you can hear it dry. Being able to be flexible like that is really what started making me get those referrals.
Right.
Because I came in with options. And they're like, oh, man, if you want this, he can give you 4 of the same thing. And then I could print all 4 if you wanted them. And now you've got a stem of 4 different options, and you can drop whichever one you want into whatever.
That's
All
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Y'all kind of did it already, but I want to play with it a little bit more. And I keep saying last question. After this, I promise, last question. Well, I already gave you my last question. I want to hear an experience. But since you used to engineer too, I'm going to include you in this.
Okay.
One hack that some engineers may not know that you use, that you feel it helps make you dope, a hack. So give one hack each. Like with me, like when I do vocal recording, this is before it became popular, I did the whole stacking. We just did 5-6 takes, and then we went through and we comped from each take. That was before a lot of people. I learned it from Kook, actually. So
Before you could do stacks automatically in Pro Tools.
right. So
Yeah.
if that were new, that'd be a hack I would share. So as an engineer, what is a hack that you can share with someone that you feel would take their game to
Ladies
at least
first,
the next
'cause
level?
it's been longer for
If
me
you
than for
have
y'all.
one, I mean, you might not have a hack,
I'm
which
thinking
is
about
fine.
one too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Right.
about it too.
You mean like a hack specifically within Pro Tools, you're saying? Or is this
Or just
like-
engineering in
As an
general?
engineering period, that's a good point, because he can be a hack for the room. Like when people
Right.
come in, I have lights, I have
That's-
whatever is an engineering
I feel
hack
like
for you.
I'm going to use that for mine, because depending on like what client is coming in and what I know that they like for this girl Danye that I record who normally does R&B, like I have the lights low, light candles, like just set the vibe, like make them feel welcome.
Nice.
I think that does a lot.
It does. I agree. Do you have a hack? While
I'm
she's
still
thinking of
thinking,
hers?
man. It's been a while.
I would say
I probably just shared my biggest one with you.
Yeah, 'cause
honestly.
that's what made me.
Yeah, that was my,
she said something earlier, because I'm trying to kind of cheating on y'all, because y'all gave one already. Actually,
I just top of my head I can't think of a big one, but I have like maybe a couple small ones
Okay.
that I
One of
can think of. One is so depending on the client, so like it's more like a room hack, I guess, just
Okay.
like relationship hack, just like speak with your client, just like try to get to know them, just like build a relationship with them before you start working. I think that's like like you guys are more like warmed up to each other, so like the chemistry will be a little better. And
Right.
that as far as tracking goes, I mean I like to be fast, so
hey,
I like to be fast, so I always like to like edit as I go. So like I'll be recording and I'll be editing at the same time, and then just like if you're not editing, just make sure like when you're recording, like the cursor, like just make sure that like while they're recording, the cursor is at the right spot that you would like for them to like start like
punching
to
down, yeah.
repeat, like to record again. So like this way, like it's just always flowing, especially if you're working with songwriters. Like if you're slow, if you like stop in between recordings, like you can really mess up the flow. So yeah.
annoying.
Yeah. And
I'm
also,
like, run it back, and they were like, all right. And I was like,
Yeah.
why don't you just have that
What's taking
set?
so
Like,
long?
it's so annoying. Like, yeah.
I will throw one out. This is one that I actually created for myself because it happened in a lot of sessions over and over again. Again, doing R&B production with a lot of vocal producers. I had a bunch of sessions where they would be practicing like how to do a certain run in a certain spot or what phrasing would be, and someone would accidentally do it right and never get it. So from that moment, I would always be recording.
Always be recording.
What I would
Yeah.
record, and not even so much in the session, I would create a bus out and I would do it separately to my computer.
Okay.
So I would be
wow.
recording separately nonstop on my computer, and I would have it routed back so I could play it back. So if they needed it, I can hit stop, go back to that. This is what you did, and they can actually hear it. And I don't know how many times I've done that where they're like, "Don't do. I thought we lost it because he did it
Right,
perfect, and I didn't
right.
remember what he did." So that was one of those things that I did. And then one of my friends was like, "Yo, dude, that's just extra work for you." And I was like, "It is." until they get to one of them spots and they do it and they can't remember what
And
they
you're
did.
a freaking hero.
And now I've got it. So now
Yeah.
I'm in here doing
Just straight
thing.
up.
So I mean I'm not gonna recommend doing it. Again,
that's a huge
if
one.
your
But I know some
system
people
can
that
do
do
it.
it in
I feel like
in the session.
You can do it in the session.
Yeah.
I would just do it separately because it's inconspicuous. If Pro Tools is recording, people know if it's armed and they can see that it's recording.
Right.
So I would do it
They
just
start
off
talking
to
about their mama and
yeah.
all
So
that
it's
stuff.
just
Did you record that? Yeah.
It's just off to the side and it's just always running for the whole session. And
Yeah,
that was
it's
one of the
true.
things that I used to do. And again, like it was.
I love that.
I would have an LSP coming out of the headphone back into Pro Tools, so I can just play that channel back if we needed to do something.
LSP
like-
stands for Lisp, for those who don't know.
You can use that
Laptop sound port. Sorry, laptop sound port. My bad. What's up?
No, you can use that creatively too. Like I've been, because like you said, like just always be recording to keep whatever they do. And I've had people like just chopping it up with like their friends, joking around about something in the booth, and then we end up taking that and putting it like faded out at the beginning of the song, and like it sounds cool or whatever, and they like
Yeah,
it.
mistakes. There's been so many hit mistakes, or mistake hits.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
even funny. All right, so last one for me, I promise. I need a memorable experience. Good, bad, or ugly. Good, bad, or sad, what would we say? A memorable experience.
Yeah. So I have one that's it's a good experience. It's a really good experience. So I started working with this artist named Rennie. He is Australian, also Indonesian. But I think he's from Australia. So I first discovered him on YouTube. So his song just came on YouTube, and I just started listening to it, and then I started listening more and more to his music, and I just fell in love with his music. He's a really good like R&B singer. He like just so soulful, and everything was just amazing, sounded amazing. So I've been a fan of him for a long time. But music industry is small. So I ended up knowing somebody on his team. So I ended up working with him and worked on his new project, several songs and stuff. And then that was really good. And then he recently had a show in Atlanta. And then I actually heard him like perform the songs that we worked on. And that was, I felt very like, just accomplished. Just
Yeah,
it was
like,
a very
I did that. I
Full
was a part of
circle
that.
moment.
yeah, like yeah. I mean, cause like you can work with any like like big artists, like that's cool. But like somebody that you actually like found like it's like something that's like very genuine to me, that was very
You
special.
were a part of that whole beginning.
Yeah, and just seeing that like performed on stage and be like, oh, I worked on that a few years ago. I just found him on YouTube.
Nice.
So
That's a cool story. What about you?
I'd say getting to have the assisting credit on the Who Wants Smoke remix. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Bernardo
Was that
Wick?
the first?
Don't let me hang. Hit me with that. Hit me one. Give me. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah, that was dope. And a guy that was the head engineer at Astro for a long time, Isaiah Brown. He's 21's personal engineer now, but he was engineering it while I was assisting, and it was just cool to see get to see Nardo, Dirk, G Herbo, and 21 come in there and do that, and it was really cool.
And your name is right there on there.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Dope.
nice.
And another, it was me who helped assist it, and then the other assistant was also a female engineer. So
Oh,
on.
cool.
nice.
yeah,
Love it.
I'm not sure of her name, but I know that her Instagram name is Pink Noise. I forget what. I think she's at Patchwork, I want to say. But yeah.
Well, that's dope that you shouted it out. I like
Yeah.
that. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Man, you got anything else? Man, I am done with these girls. All right, so anyway, but thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it. How can people find
Absolutely.
you, follow you? They probably gonna have some questions. They're like, oh, yo, I know this dope VST. You need to. I learned that term last week. Where can they find you?
My Instagram handle is Jess Yutty, JESSIATTY.
That's almost like mine.
Is that
Do it
Jess
one more time.
Attorney? Hey, no, so when I first saw you do that, I thought you left music and went into entertainment law. When I first saw, I said, oh, she's because it said Jessica ATTY, right?
No, so it's no,
So I thought it was Jess. I thought it was Jess Attorney, and I was like, oh, she went into law. Okay.
No, okay, so my Jessica is my English name. It's
Right.
not my real name.
I know. I learned that. Your real name
Yeah.
starts with an I, right?
Yeah, so my real name, first
it.
name is Yutwing, so Yut IAT, and then sometimes I have the nickname Yutty, so that's
I like
why
that. I
Jess
like
Yutty.
Yutty. I like Yutty. That's dope.
Yeah.
All right, spell it one more time, slow form, so they get it.
So JESSIATTY.
Just want to miss.
Yep.
That was for me.
I just knew you went into law. That's so funny.
No, not me. No, not me.
M.
Oh, God.
Well, yeah,
Mine is at EM5Zs __. It's
So
M's.
annoying.
Is that annoying? Everyone, I feel like it's rememberable.
So
Everybody,
annoying. No, because you got to sit there and literally count the Z's. Because guess what?
ZZ,
There's an M out there with
underscore.
4 Z's. And there's an M out there with 6 Z's.
Is there for
But
real?
you're
I
followed by
lied to you
somebody
not.
I know, so I bet that's you. There's
Lied to you
there's 3
not.
people I know that I bet that's you. That's you.
That's me.
Yep, see, it's
See,
like
it's
You
not that
changed
hard.
that because I think it was 3 Z's before.
No, I don't think so.
Now I'm positive it was.
I don't
And I
think
remember all of a
so.
sudden I was like, wait, how many?
It's not
And I'm
that
sitting
hard,
there
you
like,
guys. Just try it.
bring my screen up. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. Isn't there an underscore in there too somewhere? All right, so I'm
It's
sorry. I
unique.
interrupted. Say it again one more time. So
EMZZZ ZZ __. M's. It's M's elongated. All right.
check this out.
Now I'm
All
about
right.
to say the STFU.
All right, Jay.
I like hers. Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN everywhere.
Look how simple this is. StoneStafford.com. There it is.
Not as cool.
Everything you want about me is right there. Man, I had a blast with y'all as I knew I would. I
Yes.
appreciate it. And hopefully people got something from it. I'm sure they did. If
The
they were
salute and
listening.
cheers to ladies getting the respect and continue to
Yeah,
get the
man.
opportunities, and y'all just kicking down that door hinge as Stone said.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
so
having us.
I wish you guys the best. Y'all know I follow y'all and everything. I watch you. So I got my pom-poms on for both
Pleasure
of
to
y'all.
be here.
Yeah, y'all
Yeah.
make sure you hit them up, work on them. They're dope. Everything Life on Podcast, you know what it is. It is lifeonpodcast.com. You can binge on the last 10 episodes. And if you want to watch us, we are on YouTube, youtube.com @Life on Podcast. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe. 1 million subscribers in 2023. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We out. Peace.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.